With Samsung refreshing its budget and mid-range lineups, the Galaxy A30 and the A50 are the first to surface, and you will notice immediately that these two phones are a breath of fresh air for Samsung. Today, we will be looking at the Galaxy A30 closely and see if this low-tier mid-range smartphone can go through the cutthroat competition that surrounds it. While the design of the phone is not something we haven't seen before, it is new for Samsung. But I will tell you what is the first of its kind, its glass-stick body. This is a construction of plastic and glass molded together, and it's not as slippery as glass, but it is durable as plastic. So you get the best of both worlds. But it is, however, a fingerprint magnet. The phone is large but has curvy edges and tapered sides, so it sits comfortably in your hand. It's not bulky and seems a bit lightweight, but is sturdy enough. The rear-mounted fingerprint sensor is also at the right spot and is fairly easy to reach. By the looks of it, it appears as if Samsung has put quite a thought on this one. It looks cool and is something that you can show off. Only to those who don't like such big phones might not like it, but for others, it's quite likable. Up front, the display on it is a joy to use as well. It's an AMOLED panel, not something you will find in others for the price. That already gives it an advantage over the competition. So I think it's safe to say that it is the best display around for the price category. Its large 6.4-inch panel with FHD Plus resolution makes for a good viewing experience. Its sharp colors are punchy and vibrant, and there is not much you can complain about. Also, there's ample brightness and is easy to operate outdoors under bright sunlight as well. The notch is small and U-shaped. Samsung dubs this the Infinity U, and it looks a bit odd, to be honest. Notches aren't my thing, but those V-shaped notches look better than the U-shaped ones. There's minimal amount of bezels around the sides, but there is a chin though, which frankly looks disturbing. But for the price, it's alright. One thing I'd like to mention is that the night mode paired with AMOLED technology should provide more battery life. But more than that, what it gives you is a more immersive user experience with more depth. Everything is inky black, and that makes it so much better. Plus, if you're not a fan of Samsung's color calibration, they also give you a bunch of modes to suit your needs. So overall, a display that'll beat the competition easily. As for the camera, there are dual cameras at the back, a 16-megapixel primary and a 5-megapixel ultra-wide-angle lens. And because this is a Samsung device, I had quite the expectations from this one. The images on it are quite good. Everything is good enough from white balance to dynamic range and color reproduction. They pack good amount of details and the sharpness is there. If anything, the images might look ever so slightly washed out in some conditions. Overall, it does a good job under well-lit conditions. With the wide-angle lens, you can definitely have a bit of fun. The wide-angle lens on this one is better than what we saw on the Galaxy M20, and with it, you can take some stunning pictures. The color accuracy and sharpness does take a hit, but it does serve the purpose. The portraits too are nice. As usual, edge detection can be a bit of a hit and miss, but it does more on the accurate side. Sometimes backgrounds tend to be a bit blown out. Also, you get the option to adjust the blur levels post-picture, so that's a handy feature. Low-light pictures is where it falls short by a lot. I would say that under low light, it's basically unusable. The images lack sharpness and details, and everything appears mushy and grainy. If we talk selfies, generally they're great. The amount of details it captures are okay, but the images tend to look cooler. For portraits, it is mostly the same story as the primary camera. Background appears a bit blown out, but the edge detection mostly works. So I wouldn't say that the cameras on this one are the best in the price category. You do have an ultra-wide-angle lens that you don't get in others for a similar price. They're not wow, but they just get the job done. Now, the performance. The phone packs the Exynos 7904 processor, which kind of matches the benchmark scores of the Snapdragon 636 or Samsung's own 7885. But I feel like this is not the processor that you should be getting for the price. I mean, you can get Snapdragon 660 powered devices for the price, which is a better performer in both CPU and GPU. Well, while using it, the phone didn't freeze or stutter anywhere, but everything was a tad bit slower to my liking. For instance, apps take like a half second to launch, and it can be really annoying at times. It's not that frustrating, it's like something that won't make that much of a difference, but you can't unsee that. The performance from this one is also nothing exciting either. Multitasking and stuff is okay, and you can game on it pretty well. PUBG runs on medium settings by default, and every other game I tried like Ocean Horn, Real Racing 3, Asphalt 9 and a bunch of others ran without any problems. The UI too is smooth to use. However, heavy multitasking is not something it can handle. For instance, if you get a message on Messenger while gaming, then things start to freeze and it can get pretty frustrating. Honestly, I think Samsung could have given a slightly better SoC, but considering the price to package ratio, I think it is a bit too much to ask. It is still a good performer, but hard to recommend if your topmost priority is performance. On the software front, you get the Android 9 Pie with Samsung One UI. The UI is pretty standard and offers a lot of customizable options. There are a few Microsoft bloatware apps which cannot be removed but only disabled. But the Samsung bloatware apps like Samsung Notes and such can be completely uninstalled, which is great to see. The UI is pretty lightweight and feels modern. Enabling gesture mode helps in one-handed usage. There's also a reduce animation option which can minimize the animation on your phone's certain operations without turning the developer's mode on. And that can help your phone get a tad bit faster. I really like this UI from Samsung. It does address to what we have been complaining about from a while ago. Now, what I did not like is the fingerprint sensor. To me, it appeared as if the fingerprint sensor was not responsive enough. Maybe it's the screen unlock animation, but it feels a bit slow compared to the ones on other phones. The face unlock is also not as fast. And while these features are showing up on a lot of phones, even on budget ones, Samsung has yet to improve on them. So this was a bit of a disappointment for me. In terms of battery, you get a good size 4000 mAh unit with this one, and so the battery life does not disappoint. I usually got over 6 hours of battery life even on heavy usage, and that is very impressive. It's pretty difficult to use up the battery in a single day, but you will have to put it on charge at the end of the day. There is the always on display option, and if you keep that on, it will eat up like 1% of your battery every half hour or so. But since there is no LED notification, that thing will have to stay on even if it means sacrificing your battery. You also get a 15-watt adaptive fast charging, which can take your phone from 0 to 100 in slightly under 2 hours. So for a price of Rs 28,490 or some $250, the A30 offers you a great display, a great design, excellent battery life, decent cameras, and a user-friendly UI. But what it lacks is in the performance department, and that is where phones like the Xiaomi Redmi Note 7 and the Realme 2 Pro come in. Also, those phones have slightly better cameras except for the wide-angle lens. So that's all for the review of the Samsung Galaxy A30. You can check out the review of the Galaxy A50 from somewhere here. And also, we're running a Huawei Y7 Pro 2019 giveaway, and the details of it you can check in the description below. So that's all for now, and thank you for watching.